Hi, I'm Chelsea Hewsome, your host of the Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I'm an entrepreneur, author, speaker, and mom of two. And I'm so tired of women not feeling like they can show up as fully expressed versions of themselves. So here, we're all about that unapologetically, because honestly, we don't have time not to. Literally, because we're busy as F moms and entrepreneurs, but also figuratively, because we don't know how much time we have on this planet, and we want to make an impact now. But if we're doing this, we're making it real vibes only. So let's get inspired, laugh our asses off, quite possibly cry, and feel like you're sitting on the couch with your bestie and a glass of wine. I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lip Service and Lashes podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea Hewsome. I'm so glad you're here. Wow, everybody, it's been a little while. I have been slacking, just going to be honest. But what else would you expect from me? So I have I kind of skipped, I think probably 2 solo episodes. So if you are a regular listener, one of those 3 of you, you're like, hey, where's she been? And yeah, I've been busy as shit, people, guys, my friends. And at some point, something's got to give. And I just texted Lou, my editor. I'm like, dude, ain't gonna happen. Just I gotta push stuff. I'm like so overwhelmed in life, and it's just not gonna happen. So I guess that's the beauty of, me and my little old podcast. Like I get to do whatever the hell I want, and the world isn't ending if I skip a podcast episode or 2. So I'm back a little bit. So, okay, I have this episode. I'm just going to update you guys on some life stuff. Just because I got to giggle sometimes. I somehow made the unwise decision to, plan December and of all the times of the year to practice and learn and try to perfect my new keynote called the Vulnerability Advantage, which I love, love, love it. I think I've said this before. I had planned to have my keynote done in January of 2025, and it was actually what I consider, quote, done-ish, more or less, in December of 2025. So that's how that went. But I will say, I had another big round in May, and that was way better. And then I think I had some more in late summer, and then I had in October, and all these versions. But ultimately, it's way better and stronger now, and I really love it. And so I worked with a bunch of different people to kind of come at it from all angles and, really make it what it needs to be and should be, for me to, be this national keynote speaker at different events and for organizations. So, but with that said, as happy as I am with it now, I was really stressed out in December because if you've been listening, I'm also building a home in Nebraska, a vacation home and I don't live in Nebraska. I live 3.5 hours away from that home. And the home really ramped up in November and December as far as me coordinating, electricians, plumbers, drywallers, painters, all the freaking things, right? So that was absolutely insane to be also trying to deal with in December. And there's things called the holidays. So there's that with a bunch of family in town and all the extra events. And oh, wait, we got to purchase gifts for our children and family, right? Who forgot about that? A lot of shit. So I was quite stressed out in December because I felt honestly like I was self-sabotaging myself. And because this was so important to me, and I had paid a lot of money and put a lot of effort into, I was planning to fly to Phoenix in early January to film this keynote, which meant I had to be decent at it and like had practiced it and, you know, things like that. So I knew this was hanging over my head that I had to perform and do it well, hopefully. But, you know, I kept pretty much doing everything humanly possibly else, except like I would get 20 things done on my to do list. And then every day, guess what? The one thing on my to do list was that practice that keynote. So being completely honest, I did not practice it near as much as I had hoped to. But alas, January came and I flew to Phoenix. I was pretty stressed out, probably, and the travel day there, I had a raging migraine that like a muscle relaxer and two migraine pills couldn't kill. But luckily, I was just like, please God, let me wake up tomorrow without a raging migraine and not, you know, so I don't feel like complete shit. Because if you get migraines, you know, it's like makes your brain mush, and it's just not. You're not going to be in the flow or like in the vibe of doing this well if you feel like shit. So luckily, the first day I filmed at a theater with my new friend Erin with a company called Seco Space. They were referred to me by my friend Carla Johnson. She is a professional keynote speaker. And I just like Colton, Erin, everybody has just been fantastic. I think we were there about 4 hours recording. And then the following day, I went to their studio. We recorded again, kind of in a different, we did some interview stuff and just a different format, more or less. And now they are working their magic to create speaker reels and assets for me. Um, but so I really will say somehow I was like, please God, just let me like pull something out of my ass and not be horrific at this. And I will say, like, I felt like it was decent. It wasn't horrific. It wasn't like, oh my God, you totally, totally, totally sucked that up. It was for my first time doing this. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. And having made that poor choice to, you know, use the month of December to try to prep. But I will also say, yes, I could have said, hey, I'm going to go film this in March. But guess what? I probably would have procrastinated until the week before or something. I would have just like been dragging my feet because that's what we do. So I am glad I just said, no, you need to do this. And that's the date I picked and forced myself to do it. So that's that. But I just had to laugh. Like, I was like, I feel like I've taken on too much, you know, with this Nebraska house build and the holidays. And oh, yeah, I also have a company to run. I'm also a mother and a wife, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, learning a keynote. So just, it was a little much. Also, I think it was December. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The time really is vague. Like, it's fuzzy. I don't know. I think it was around December or mid January now that I also had a potential breast cancer scare. I had to go in. I just have to go in because my mother has had breast cancer and I have a very high risk of it, almost like 30% of it, 30% that I will get breast cancer is the chance. So I always have to go in for like a mammogram. And then 6 months later, I have to get a boob MRI. And then 6 months later, I have to get another mammogram and then an MRI. So I'm like always in there. But I had a mammogram and then they said, well, we found the spot we want to look at. And, you know, sometimes when you're just also dealing with a lot, I was like, come on, God, like, I just, I don't want this. I don't want to be dealing with this. And, you know, but the potential, you know, your mind just goes down the rabbit hole and it's potentially scary and you start like thinking the worst and blah, blah, blah. Right. It's just, we all do that. Let's just be honest. We do. So that luckily, thank God, I went in for another ultrasound. It turned out to be nothing, thank God. But while I was, you know, kind of dealing with this and waiting for the results, I was asking myself an interesting question. I thought, you know, if God forbid, you know, anything, you go in for a test and they come back and they're like, you have, terminal cancer, or you have stage 4 or whatever, or you're like, you only got so much time on the planet, right? And you come back with a horrible diagnosis, right? I was thinking, if that was the case, thank God it's not, but what I thought it was a good question at any point to ask, like, if that was the case and you only had a set amount of time to live, is there anything right now in your life that you would change? Like, is there like looking at every single aspect of your life, your family life, your work life, your whatever it is, however you spend your free time, your, all the things, who you spend your time with, where you put your energy. Is there anything that you would change in your life? And luckily, minus like maybe one or two really small things, I could say, no, you know what? No, I feel very fulfilled and happy, and I've reined in my boundaries, and I feel like I am very fulfilled and happy and things like that. But really, I mean, probably every 6 months, we should be asking ourselves questions like this just to check in, and just reassess, like, hey, am I still on the right track? Or have I let some other stuff creep in that I'm not, that is taking my time, energy, my happiness, whatever, right? So definitely, I'm a big proponent of asking ourselves that question regularly to make sure that we are still in alignment and actually living our life in a fulfilled, happy, joyful way. And we haven't let other things creep in that we don't want. Because that's so important, that we are ultimately in control of our life and our happiness. So with all these things that I was dealing with, and just like I said, life in general, like I still have a company to run. I still, you're making the holidays magical for your family and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And all the extra events and parties and blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, I was like, oh my God, I'm freaking stressed out. But then I said, really, Chelsea, really? If you stop and look around, these are all things you asked for. You literally asked for each of these. You asked to be a keynote speaker. And guess what? You're making it happen. You asked to build, you made the decision and put it out there to build a vacation home for your family to make memories at. Right? You've asked for all these things. You've asked for a family to love and create memories with. So just a gentle reminder to all of us, if you're a psycho like me and you have a problem with doing too much sometimes at once, that could be the undiagnosed ADHD potentially. It could be I'm a Gemini. I'm all over the place. I can't ever decide on stuff. I just like doing things, right? I get excited about stuff and I just want to do it all. But when you are creating unnecessary stress for yourself because of all the things you asked for, you need to chill out a little bit, bring it down a level, and figure out a way to make it work, or get through it. And then, like fly to Phoenix, record your keynote. Okay, great. That's done. Check that off. The house in Nebraska is almost done, like probably a couple weeks out, like so close. Check that off. Now we just get to enjoy it, right? So there are ebbs and flows of life where it's busier, or we might have more demands on us at one time. I get that, right? But like for me, I know, okay, well, after I can place these larger things aside that maybe have been stressing me out a little bit more or needed more of my time and energy. Great. Now I'm craving, like, chill the fuck out a little bit. Okay. Bring it back a little bit. You need some more calm in your life and maybe slow down for a little bit. Before you decide to ramp up the next thing you're working on, right? So just throwing that out there to always keep in mind. Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. I got a few more podcast episodes to record, so you're going to see me in the same outfit if you're watching on YouTube, and I have not showered today. I have zero makeup on. I got a hat on because you don't want to see my hair. It's crazy. But I appreciate you all. Always reach out. I love your feedback. And always remember, no BS, just real vibes. I'll see you next time. If you loved the episode, share it on Instagram and tag me so I can say thank you and meet you. Or share it with a girlfriend who you know would love this too. Always remember, no BS, just real vibes. See you next time on Lip Service and Lashes.